This lesson is called Choosing and Interpreting Graphs. So let's get started. So here it says determine the values of the other bars on the graph. So as we can see, we only have one clue here in the first one, and we have two squares filled, and it says there's 50 total. So that means that this number here, this value represents 50. And since there's two squares, we know that it's 50, 75, and then 100. Okay, and then when you have something that's in between here, so you see where it ends right there. I'm going to erase this little mark. I'm going to use this one here. You see how it goes there? It's in between 50 and 75. It's about halfway. So you can say that this one is about, 62. It's close enough. If you said 63 or 65, we're good. And then this one here for B is 100 because it goes right up to 100. The next one here, this one here has 24 as the total. So we know that if we were to label it, this is 24, and you know that this is 0. So now we have to figure out, what is it skip counting by? What is the scale? So the scale is the unknown. So this is a little tricky, but after a few minutes you'll realize that the scale is skip counting by 4s. So you would just put the numbers here, and there you go. And then this one here, since it's between 20 and 24, it's right in the middle. We know that this is 22. Finally, for the last one, we know that this goes up to 120. So once again, we have to figure out the scale. So we know that this is 0 at the bottom. What is this skip counting by? So this one's a little bit trickier, but if you were to divide this by 3, you would find that this is a scale, a not so common scale of skip counting by 40. So when you look at, we got a higher one too, so we need to include it. 160. So this one here would be 160, and this one here would be 40. Evan wrote 10 math tests this year, each worth 100 marks. His marks were as follows. Which graph would you use to display this data? So this is there is no real right or wrong answer for this one. I know you're thinking, it can't be a line graph because the line graph is over time, but these tests do go in time, because if you're writing 10 math tests, this one might have been September, say 30. This could have been, December 15th. And then these are all tests that go in that order, because you're not going to write, the tests have to go in order because it is time. So you can use a line graph. That would be correct in this situation. You can use a bar graph. You can also use a stem and leaf. So these are the graphs that you can use. You can't do a double bar graph because you're not comparing it to anything. Let's go to the next slide. So draw a broken line graph. So let me show you how that will be done. So here I just created obviously this is just a sketch because I am not using a ruler. I can't on this device, and there's no lines in the background, so it is going to be really sloppy. Please use a ruler when you do this in class. And I put titles, so it's that dude's test score. I forgot his name, nobody cares. The marks are on the left side and the tests are at the bottom. So now what we have to do is plot our point. I chose a scale of 20 just to keep it squished onto this page. So I'm going to put the points now. Since there are a bunch of scores that are not perfectly easy to find on the side, you kind of have to guess. So that's why using lines and a ruler is much easier. Put the points down, and now I'm going to just connect the dots. So that's what it looks like when you connect the dots. Again, I did not use a ruler, and I did a rough sketch just for the purpose of showing you guys, but please do it properly. Okay, so this is asking us to do a broken line graph, but it only tells us to do these tests. So when you're doing these tests, just make sure you've labeled it at the bottom. So once again, let me create the graph, same as last time. Now I'm going to plot the points. Now that I've put down the points, let me connect the dots. So there's the graph. It looks totally different. Let's find out why. the first graph kind of looked like this. Scores were like this, and there was a huge dip, and then it was like this. This was the first graph. You guys can go back. I can't. And the second graph, his test looked like this. So if you were to look at, like, just say this kid went home to his parents or her parents, whoever it was, and says, well, here's a graph of my test. Obviously they're going to show this one here because it shows that the test, he's getting better and better as the year goes on, but he's literally leaving out this giant dip right here. So this is called bias, where you're only showing the information that you want people to see. Evan wants to show his parents how much his math mark is improving. If he shows his parents a second graph, do you think he is being honest? He's not being honest. He's definitely not being honest. He's not being fully honest, because some of his scores were terrible, and there's many reasons why the scores are terrible. Maybe he had a bad dream the night before, but anyways, he's not being honest. So thank you for watching this video. I really appreciate it, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.